So let's go.
Many of you were surprised at a point that I made in my last video on how Karmelo Anthony's family has actually costed Karmelo extra years in prison. So many extra years. You wanted me to expound on that further because you had not heard anyone make that point. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm giving you the perspective not of a YouTuber reacting to news, but of an attorney who's practiced for more than 20 years. This is behind.
It's important that he pointed that out. The reason he pointed that out because he's telling you why his perspective is a little bit more heightened than the average layman. He's likely going to tell you, he's going to tell you why his perspective should be valued a little bit higher than the average layman per se at the gas station saying, well, you know, he gonna get about 20, 30 years. So, you know what I mean? He went up there, he shot him 3 times. You know, I was there, I seen the whole thing, man. And then he did a breakdance move, and then he popped and started locking, and then he shot him 2 more times. And I looked over, I said, yeah, man, you need to go ahead and run, because if they catch you, man, it's gonna be 30 years. But if they don't, if you stay here, man, I'm telling you.
Behind the scenes info, so let's get to it. Now, let me explain on how Karmelo's mother basically sentenced her own son Karmelo to an extra 10 to 30 more years in prison.
But when a lawyer says you have helped sentence your own son or child to another 10 to 30 years in prison, yeah.
And what she can do about it now to try to fix it. I explained in my last video that Karmelo's mother apparently hired a family spokesperson, one Dominique Alexander. This Dominique calls himself a minister of...
I know I'm pausing a lot and we're not even 5 minutes into the video, but here's the thing. Black community, we gotta stop doing this. We have to stop getting these de facto or these type of leaders that don't hold specific standing in our community. A spokesman. I'm telling you right now, if you have someone speak on your behalf and their title is spokesman, you're going to catch AOE damage all day long. And I guarantee you, you're going to find yourself on a PvP server. This person is not trained in public relations. You would not hire a CNA to do the work of a registered nurse in a hospital. They sound as if they work in the same exact functionality and title. But there's a distinct reason one is called a CNA and one is called a registered nurse.
Justice, whatever that is. Dominique is a convicted felon. He's alleged to have beaten his girlfriend. Then he got a new girlfriend. And when that girlfriend left out of the apartment, the good minister grabbed that woman's 2-year-old baby and shook him until that baby got brain damage.
Amen. Amen. Look, I understand this is a heat of the moment type of issue. But when we have people that are supposedly community leaders in our neighborhoods or communities, I'm sorry, we need to start doing FOIA requests on these people. Seriously. We need to find out what the single target damage is immediately. FOIA requests don't cost more than $25. Not sure if people knew this or not. I myself have done FOIA requests. I have never come out of more than $25 for a FOIA request. Now, I get it. When you meet a person, they don't necessarily say, hey, I'm a minister or a pastor or whatever title they use in their community and say, also, here's my criminal record. I get that too. We need to start looking into the people who are supposed to be, in colloquial terms, the shot callers of our communities. The people that have weight, the people that have sway in our communities. We need to start looking into these people. We have heard way too many stories of these ministers and pastors and so-called religious leaders running afoul in our communities. And the thing that really bothers me is that we allow our religious beliefs to ignore or justify or skirt what they do. Just my opinion.
The good minister pled guilty in that case to felony charges and was in prison. Now, this is the man that Karmelo's mom chose to speak on Karmelo and the family's behalf. The good baby shaking minister. The minister did exactly what
The good baby shaking minister. Lee, that's diabolical.
you would expect a convicted felon to do when handling Karmelo's case. He absolutely destroyed it. How? He ostracized the most important person in Karmelo's case. Now, who is that? Is that the judge? No. Is that the prosecutor? No. The most important person alive in Karmelo's case is actually Jeff Metcalf, the father of the young man that Karmelo Anthony killed, Austin Metcalf. The father, Jeff Metcalf, is the linchpin to Karmelo's entire future. Let me tell you that in a murder case where the victim is gone, the case lives on through the victim's next of kin. When a parent has to bury his child, everyone...
Forgive me, I believe I said the gentleman's name was Jason Metcalf, but Lee just said it was Austin Metcalf. So don't kill me if I did say that earlier in the video.
looks to that parent to gauge how to react. Judges consciously and subconsciously look at the parent's facial expression when they're testifying on the witness stand. Prosecutors run all their plea offers through the parents. Reporters knock on the parents' doors for statements, and they aim their cameras at the parents when the verdicts drop. And the jurors, oh my goodness. The jurors hang on every word of the parents. Notice every little movement, every gesture. In this case, Jeff Metcalf, the father, is not just a spectator in the case. He's the conscience of the entire community. If you win Jeff, you win all the sympathy. But if you alienate him, you can go to prison for life.
The duality of law can be ironic. The law, in terms of statute, removes the emotion out of the sentencing and the judicial process, supposedly. However, the litigation and the means to get to that sentencing, you have to rely heavily on emotion. Lee just pointed that out. He said, hey, if you can get the sympathy of the jurors and everyone else in the court on your side, but primarily the jurors, it's your case to win. It's odd how that works. I understand why it works that way. I just think that duality is odd because now, once you get that emotion on your side and that person is found guilty, then the sentencing structure happens without the emotional aspect involved. It's just a weird duality to me. I just, thought of that and I wanted to point that out.
Now, months ago, Jeff Metcalf, the father, he did something unthinkable. Reporters, as they always do, shoved a microphone in this grieving father's face and asked him, how do you feel about this Karmelo Anthony? Do you know what he said? Jeff Metcalf said, and I quote, you know what? I've already forgiven this person.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm not built that way. I'm not built that way. I know what religion tells us and, my personal belief and everything. I'm just not built that way. Nope. 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 Don't have it in me. No, I'm not going to say, let me not say that. I may have it in me because I have not been in that situation. I don't believe I have it in me. I should say that. You have to be a person of heightened consciousness or really in tune or have an insane sense of forgiveness to be able to forgive the person that took your child off this planet, that was the judge, jury, and executioner of your child. That alone Once that word gets to the media that you've already forgiven the person that ended your child's life, yeah, yeah. Oh boy.
Already. Now, that is amazing. It's amazing that Jeff would have the strength to do that because I would be incapable of that. The
See? See what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to leave that alone.
maturity, the wisdom, the strength. I just would not have it. Now, that baby shaking minister is not going to know this, but when a father makes a statement like that, a statement of forgiveness, the entire Karmelo team has to drop everything. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Your entire legal strategy has to change. I can tell you as an attorney that you call an emergency meeting with all the lawyers, all the family, maybe PR consultants if the family has means for that. You bring everyone together to get them on the same page and let them know that this case will revolve around one person, Jeff Metcalf, the father. So when Carmelo's mother heard what Jeff said about her son, what do you think that this lady did? She handed the microphone at a press conference to the baby shaking minister of justice. And at that press conference where Jeff Metcalf showed up to pray with the family, the baby shaking minister called the police and had Jeff kicked out. Like, can you believe it?
That is scumbaggery at the highest level. That is thunderous scumbaggery. I personally believe mothers specifically should not have a microphone placed in front of them to where they have access to the public media. Now, I know you can't stop it because they have their own cell phones. They can make video recordings if they so choose. I get that. First Amendment right, freedom of press, all that. I get that. What I'm trying to say is that you should keep the mother away from the media as much as possible if you can help it, especially if you're the father, brother, or if there's any man that's in the picture. You, as a man, should try to keep that mother out of the media as much as possible. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when you find out your child has been taken from this earth, it is a raw nerve. If you want to see a mother turn into a Wolverine and take anything with her to get to that child, you don't have the understanding yet. Fathers will go to the extreme for their children as well, but not in the same sense a mother will. You have to understand the mother has been carrying the baby 9 months. She's felt it kick, she's dealt with swollen ankles, she's dealt with overeating. She's dealt with emotional shifts, waking up crying at night for no reason. She has to go to all these medical appointments, take this time off. She has to deal with going into labor, being in the hospital, heaving and hoeing for an indefinite time period. Finally, when the baby comes out, she sees the production of what she's been dealing with for 9 months. And you think she's not going to have a heightened emotional sense than the father. The other thing, the reason why I'm saying this is because when a mother finds out, okay, let me say it like this. How many of you have seen these movies where when a family member dies, a child died, the mother is fawning and falling all over the casket? Oh, my baby, it should have been me. Oh, my baby, take me, Lord, take me, Lord, take me. You never see the father acting like that, even when it's a joke in movies. You almost never see the father acting that way. If anything, at the most extreme, when they show the father's face, it's either extreme hurt or grief, or if they zoom in, they show an extreme sense of a desire for revenge. But you rarely ever see the father acting a fool falling out in the middle of the floor. He's usually the one that's trying to hoist the mother or the person that's acting out off the floor. But I want to say this is the reason why a microphone or the media should be kept away from the mother when this situation happens. Because they will tend to do the wrong thing. They will tend to act on impulsivity. They will tend to act on emotion. The father will snap too and be a raw nerve, but he will be a raw nerve in a different way. Typically, if you get the father out of the situation for a decent period of time, he will calm down. I don't mean calm down in the sense that the pain has went away and he's no longer upset or angry. But his reaction will be very much different than the mother's in front of the media.
They kicked Jeff Metcalf, who came there to pray.
Oh, the man came there to pray and you kicked him out. And you did that with a camera watching. Now, this is not a reflection on the entire Christian community, but there's a connection of intolerance here. And what I mean by the connection of intolerance, it doesn't mean that I'm not saying the entire Christian community or the faith itself is intolerant. I'm saying this is a representative of that faith that is making it appear to people that Christians can be intolerant. They parallel, but they're not one and the same. They don't coincide. So I don't want the Christian community to think that I'm saying the Christian community is intolerant. That's not what I'm saying. And people could argue and say it has nothing to do with Christianity. People themselves can be intolerant, which is also true. But sometimes when you have a reflection of a representation of a religious belief, people have a heightened sense of how they judge that faith or belief, is what I'm trying to state. Hopefully that made sense. If not,
They kicked him out of the press conference. The entire spectacle went viral within an hour. And do you know what else? Karmelo Anthony's prison sentence was prolonged by 10 to 25 years within that same hour. Now, why do I say that? What did the family show Jeff in that instance? Jeff, the father. They showed Jeff that there was no remorse. They showed Jeff that there would be no mutual prayers. There would be no reconciliation. Showed that man nothing but hostility and aggression. The same hostility, the same aggression maybe that was at that track meet that fateful afternoon, that was under that tent. Some of you are not going to.
One thing people don't like, they don't like seeing war when peace is trying to be made. If anyone should have been given the middle finger, is Austin Metcalf's father. His father was the one that was stabbed. His son was the one that was stabbed to death. He is the one that has to plan his son's funeral. I'm not making this about, because I've seen a lot of people make this a black versus white thing. That's not this situation here. I'm not saying that's not prevalent and I'm dismissing people's opinion. What I'm saying is when someone comes to you to extend the olive branch, and if you pull out a lighter and you burn that branch, they may not respond because they feel that they have to stay on code. But I can almost guarantee you there's some people in your own camp that even think you're a prick for doing that. Yep. They think you're a prick for doing that. They're not going to say anything because what is happening in that current moment. But I guarantee you they feel you're a prick.
To appreciate how important this father is. You just don't know how these criminal sentences work. I see your comments on YouTube and Twitter. You think, oh, this person killed that person, so put the killer in prison and throw away the key. Put him there for life. That's what you guys say. You have no idea. I will tell you that people kill people all the time, and the sentences range from insanity on the low end to insanity on the high high end. Now, who controls where the sentence is going to fall? At the end of the day, it is the sentiment of the community that will decide. And in this case, Jeff Metcalf is at the center of that entire community. Now, let's do this. Let's suppose it is your first day of law school, and I am your criminal law professor. I am going to tell you some quick facts, and you tell me the sentence that you would give in this scenario if you were the jury, if you were the judge. But
I know what he's getting ready to do and present. Anyone that has taken law classes, especially when I was in undergrad at my alma mater of Loyola University, Chicago, any of the law classes that I would take or law adjacent or of anything of that nature, they tend to teach the class from the Socratic method or the method known as Socrates. What they'll do is present a scenario to you to show you how to think critically. So I'm almost betting, because I have not watched beyond this portion of the video, I'm almost betting what he's getting ready to do is present scenarios to teach people how to think beyond their own personal bias.
first, and this is important, put right now for the record what you think Karmelo should be sentenced to in the comments. Put it below. Now, here is the quiz. I want everybody to take it.
30
Here's
years.
the first
She
case.
gets 30
4
years.
cases. A 16-year-old in Texas, basically the same age and state of Karmelo. He gets hammered, consuming alcohol, consuming drugs. He does the whole thing. He gets behind the wheel of a vehicle. Of course, he gets into an accident. Now, here's the thing. He kills 4 people. He intentionally gets hammered and gets cooked, and then he takes 4 lives. Now, little law student of mine, I'm going to give you 5 seconds to determine how many years in prison you would give him. Ready? Go.
I would say 30 years at least.
And while you are considering your sentence, just know that in this case, the affluenza case, if you're old enough to remember, this young man, he took 4 lives. But how many years did the judge give him? Well, the judge gave him 10 years for taking 4 lives. 10 years. But here's the key.
What? How, Sway? How, Sway? All right, I'm going to let the lead tell me because I don't have the answer, Sway.
Kicker. It wasn't 10 years of prison. The judge gave him 10 years of straight probation.
There's no way. There's no way. Yes, you heard what I heard. Yes, you did.
This man took 4 lives and got a straight probationary sentence. Not 1 day in prison. Did you guess it? Did you guess 0 years? Now, here is the second of 4 scenarios. A football player gets hammered just the same. He gets into his Bentley, he's an NFL player, and starts speeding. Of course, he runs over a guy, kills him dead. How many years in prison did this NFL player get for the killing? Now, the victim is gone forever. You got 5 seconds to guess. How many years? And while you are considering how many years, all you football fans know that Mike Vick, the quarterback of the great Atlanta Falcons, got 2 years in prison for dog fighting. That's 2 years in prison for dogs. How many years did this NFL player play killing a man? That's right. Dante Stallworth gets hammered, gets in his car, and kills a man in the street. He gets 30 days in the county jail. No prison at all. Just 30 days in jail. Mike Vick gets 2 years in prison for dogs. Now, my little law student, you ask, well, how can that be? What happened in that case? Well, I'll tell you. Dante Stallworth showed extreme remorse. He apologized. And most importantly, he reached a financial settlement with the family. Dante went into his pocket and got the family on his side. Now, let me ask you, did Karmelo Anthony's family do that? Dante slid the victim's family some money. Karmelo Anthony's family family got over $500,000. Did Karmelo's mom do any of that? Did the mom even offer to pay for the funeral? Guys, I'm going to tell you, you do not know there are so many levels to criminal law. Now, 2 more quizzes to go. You're my law student and you are guessing these sentences, but there are a few of you that are listening, maybe 4 to 6, that are going to get an A in my class. You're going to be the A students. You're going to say, well,
As long as I've been on this earth, counting 43 years now, I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. You run over, you kill someone, you pay a settlement, and it goes away. I don't think I can do it. If I did do it, even though I don't think I could do it, but if I did do it, I want to make sure your kids can't go to college, your grandkids can't. Yep, that's right. Your grandkids can't go to college. Yeah. You will be making cheese in a box shack when I'm done with you. That's right. A box shack. You will be on minimum wage for the rest of your life. You will be working 3 jobs, 4 jobs for the rest of your life. Yes, that's how that would work.
well, Professor Lead, I can distinguish those cases. In both of those cases, yes, the defendants did kill their victims, but it really wasn't intentional because they were under the influence and they were driving. The Karmelo Anthony case is different. It was not vehicular, it was with a knife. There was direct violence. Now, if you thought of that, then you would get an A in my class.
I failed. I got an F. And here's the sad part. I was a pre-law major in undergrad. Yep. And I forgot about the 2 cardinal things you need to convict. Don't judge me. You have something called actus reus and mens rea. Actus reus, the guilty act, what you actually did that you shouldn't have done. Then you have mens rea, the mind state. What was what would a reasonable person think, believe, or say to themselves that you were likely thinking or believing, or how they would possibly act in a logical sense, in a reasonable sense, not always logical, but reasonable, or at least some sense of rationale. How they would act if you committed the crime. And one of the most cardinal sins my pre-law professor taught me was intent is a difference maker. Yep, that's right. Intent. Sentencing and laws are more severe if what you did can be the crime that you committed can be proven that it was done with intent, or even worse than intent itself is premeditation. Premeditation is a form of intent as it was taught to me. Intent means that I did or likely did this for whatever reason. But when you have premeditation, that means you planned it out. That means not only did you likely do it, you did it with malicious intent. I'll give you an example. If you get up and you shower and you wash your body clean, and this guy who has been talking mess about you for 5, 8, 10 years, you've made videos how you're going to do this guy in. You consciously get up. You start loading rounds into your firearm. You walk down the stairs and get in your car. And you go drive and look for this person. And you see this person. And you give him that Jamaican Royale. Bam, bam, bam. That's premeditation. Intent is more of a general thing. It's very broad. So now the rules of exception come into question. Did you have a good reason or a valid reason for ending this person's life? However, it still comes down to people's emotions and how they felt for the day. For example, that judge's wife could have just left him that morning, and guess what? That's who you have for your trial this morning. Good luck.
That's a great point. So let me give you a case that is a little closer to home. Now, let's take a pause from this Karmelo Anthony insanity for a second to have a quick word from our sponsor, Chapter Medicare. If someone you love is on Medicare, this matters. The Department of Justice just revealed a huge fraud case against top Medicare brokers.
Yeah, get them all. Pokemon, gotta catch them all. Get them all. Yep. No Medicaid fraud. Nope, nope, nope. Nope. Get them all.
Accusing them of steering seniors to plans paying the highest kickbacks and not the best plans for you. I've seen firsthand how confusing and frustrating Medicare can be. When I faced my own cancer diagnosis, even with decades of legal experience, navigating healthcare felt impossible. That's why I'm partnering with Chapter Med.
When Lee first announced his cancer diagnosis, I thought it was soul crushing.
Medicare. Chapter searches through every available Medicare plan to find the one truly tailored to your doctor's prescription and budget, completely unbiased and free. On average, seniors who worked with Chapter saved over $1,100 a year. So, if you want straightforward, unbiased help, call Chapter right now at 572-243-0163 or visit ashchapter.org/lead. It's quick, it's free, and it could save you hundreds. The number's right here on the screen, 572-243-0163. Give yourself peace of mind today. Now, let's get back to this Karmelo Anthony dumpster fire. A guy gets mad at his wife, and rightly so, he thinks that she's cheating on him. He goes and loads up his shotgun. He goes outside where she's standing. Now, she's unarmed, and she's recording him on her phone. He cocks the shotgun and points it directly at her teeth. He says, "All right, goodbye. You are going to meet Jesus." And then he blows her away. She was unarmed and in Texas. Do you know who else was unarmed? Do you know who else was in Texas? That's right, Anthony Metcalf, Carmelo's victim. Now, the jury in the case with the husband gave that man just 10 years in prison, and he is eligible for parole after only 5 years. Ooh. Think about it, 5 years in prison for a straight up killing. I am positive that every single one of you would have said, lock him up for life, lock him up forever. She's a woman, she was unarmed, she didn't even hit him. And he only got 10 years with maybe 5 years to serve. Now you ask, well, Professor Lee.
I know this is petty of me to say, but that picture of him holding that shotgun is diabolical. Yep. What do you want me to say? They say a picture says 1,000 words.
Why so little time? Well, the defense team in that case did a great job of humanizing the husband, humanizing the killer, and getting the jury on his side. The jury didn't hate the killer.
Remember that part I said earlier about the duality of law? This is a perfect example of that. Sentencing, no emotion. Conviction, emotion.
Carmelo's case. Do you think the jury would hate Karmelo if Austin's father, Jeff, pleaded with the jury for mercy, pleaded with the jury for grace, is seen praying and reconciling and crying with the Karmelo family? Everyone in that courtroom would be crying, listening.
Yeah, that's a point. I know hindsight is 2020, but it was stupid on their behalf to fan the flames, especially that spokesman, whomever he is. to send Austin Metcalf's father away when he wanted to come and pray with them. Because if there was any time, and this is what I mean when you don't get people that are PR trained, they would have saw this as a photo op a mile off. A mile off. This could have helped your son's case in so many ways because it was already pretty much from my understanding that your son stabbed him to death. He was considered and deemed the aggressor. The one thing you want to do is not kick a hornet's nest. And the hornet's nest is public sentiment. You may win in law, but the one place you cannot sway and overturn and buy enough and whatever you want to call it to blackmail, maneuver, outflank, you cannot outflank the court of public opinion. Never. The court of public opinion has been around since BC.
To Jeff's victim impact statement, the judge would be crying, the bailiffs would be crying, the attorneys would be crying,
Yep.
the jury. Believe me, everyone in that courthouse would have their eyes full of tears.
Yep.
At the end of the day, we are all human. Karmelo would have been spared. He would have not gotten a lot of time. You can absolutely get a judge and jury on your side. You just have to know how to do it. Now, and this is the last case, and this is for all of my A students. Let's go back to the vehicular homicide cases. You think that you can get off easy by killing somebody with your car, remember? Remember when you thought, oh, well, it's because the guy who killed 4 people was driving. That's why he got 0 years in prison. Okay, that guy killed 4 people. What about a guy that killed 6 people in his car at a parade?
This fool here. If you know, you know.
Got 5 seconds to consider how many years this guy would get for killing 6 people. If the first guy got 0 years in prison for killing 4 people, how many years in prison did this guy get for killing 6 people?
I believe he got life or 6 life terms or something like that. I think what Lead is trying to point out is that one was done with intent and the other one was not. When you drive into a crowd of people, that's reckless driving with wanton intent or wanton intent. I don't know if I'm saying that word correctly. Don't kill me if I'm not. The white gentleman he showed that took the lives of 4 people, that was not his intent. He was driving drunk and made a poor choice. But when you drive into a parade of people, you know there's a strong likelihood you could end someone's life. And personally, his name escapes me right now, who drove into the parade of people. But after seeing how he acted in court, even though I know it was presentation, pomp, and display, they should bring the electric chair back for people like him.
All right, you got your answer? Don't you know that this guy got 1,000 years? 1,000. They calculated it out to like 1,067 years.
He got it. He can do that on his hands. No problem. He got it. Might come out with osteoporosis, but who cares? You know, we all got to go someday, right?
He got 6 life sentences and an additional 760 years for the people that he hurt with his car. Now, how do you go from 0 to 1,000? Well, this guy got every single person in the community to hate him. Darrell Brooks never apologized to any of the family members and was hostile to everyone in the courthouse during his court case. The judge ended up blasting him. So now, my law student, you can see the importance of getting the family.
So that means now I'm up to a C-.
It's getting the community on your side. It can be the difference between 0 years and 1,000 years. Is the Karmelo family doing that? Is the Karmelo family getting the Austin Metcalf family on their side by kicking out Austin's father at the press conference? It's insanity how they are handling the Karmelo case, and Karmelo
When you kick a father who wants to come and pray with you out of the house or a public seminar speaking like event, that is exactly how you get AoE damage. That is not single target damage. That is AoE damage all day long. Because now you just hurt your son's chances, who you know for a fact that it is well proven that he stabbed. Now, for whatever the reason, self-defense, they got into a scrap. But one thing that is true, he stabbed him. That is. I did not hear anyone from all the different websites and social media. I did not hear anyone say that Austin Metcalf pulled out a knife and tried to stab Karmelo as well. I have not heard that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I have not heard that. But if you want to do AoE damage, this is how you do it. You pick someone that is not PR trained. Now you just screwed your son's chances. You just had public sentiment likely turn against you. The family members of Austin Metcalf, who are trying to possibly be compassionate people, that's going to erode significantly now. Their level of compassion is going to erode because they're seeing the way you're acting towards them. It feels what you're doing is venomous and hateful. And I get it. And this is why I go back to say this is why the mother should not be in the forefront when their child passes away. I get it. It's their right. This is their baby. It's their child. Some of you may even be telling me to F off right now. But this is the reason why. This is how you get AoE damage. Because now the son is going to go to prison where he's going to be in an indefinite PvP server.
Will pay the price. Now, people have asked, they said, well, Lee, if you represented the Karmelo family, how would you have handled it if Jeff Metcalf showed up at the press conference? Guys, there are so many ways that this press conference could have been used to benefit not only Karmelo, but both families' entire well-being. I would have already talked to Carmelo's family about how important Jeff is to the entire case. Hopefully, the Karmelo family would have already communicated with Jeff numerous times, expressing remorse, expressing sorrow, offering apologies for the incident. And if Jeff shows up at that press conference, guess what? We are not having a Karmelo press conference anymore. We are having a joint press conference.
Yes.
And guess what else? Jeff Metcalf gets the microphone first. He gets the spotlight. We stand behind him while he talks. He gets the first words and he can talk for as long as he wants. Now, a few of you might say, well, what happens if he goes off the rails? What happens if he starts saying bad things about Karmelo? Well, good. Let him say it. He's not saying anything that we all haven't felt. And you know what we do? We stand there behind him and we take it. We take our loss with grace and patience and understanding. This man just lost a son. We are taking all of his heat. We know that the jury is going to see that too. The jury is going to be watching our demeanor while this man is up there blazing us. And after he's finished, we get on the microphone. What do? We express our understanding of his words. We express how justified he is in feeling everything that he feels. All parents can understand where this man.
I want you guys to tell me, do you think this would have been a smart move to do? Personally, I think it would have been a smart move to do. This is why you hire the professional and you get what you pay for. This is why every time you try to use duct tape, rope, and a radio, why it almost always fails. Almost always fails. This is why you get a professional. I am of the strong belief that if this will present a solution to my problem and I will not have to deal with it again anywhere in the near future, 10, 20 years, I believe in measuring twice and cutting once. You have a lot of people that will measure once and cut 3 times. And they can't understand. It's because they keep using a band-aid to solve their situation. I get it. Lawyers are expensive. These things are expensive. I get that. People are worried about going into debt. I get that too. But when your child's life is on the line, we're in rarefied air of spare no expense if possible. This is possibly where most people, if you went up to them and you told them you were $200,000 in debt because you had to pay a lawyer to try to keep your son from going to prison or daughter from going to prison for life, people would understand it. They would probably be blown away, but they would understand it. I just feel we have this bad, specifically in our community, in the Black community. We have this very bad where we try to pick a person that has no training, no skill to be a representation. This is not across the board. This is not all across the board because I've seen it where we've had professional black professionals that are in our respective fields of desired law, medicine, whatever, to represent and speak on our behalf publicly. Publicly. That's just why that's my 2 cents on, in the words of the Joker, you get what you deserve.
Is coming from. We thank him for his strength to join us. We tell everyone that we welcome this and all future opportunities to listen to Jeff. We express remorse at the circumstances again, and we apologize for the circumstances again. And you know what we do then? We shut up. We end the press conference right there. Yeah. We don't go on to put the blame on racist white people. We don't go on to keep claiming self-defense. We don't.
This is what happens when you don't read the room. This is how you get a suplex off the top rope mixed in with a DDT and a powder. The minute you throw racism in the pocket, people automatically start packing out mentally. Lights start getting turned off. People are making calls to their local power company telling them, hey, shut it off. Shut it off. I'm done. Because people are tired of racism being used as an scapegoat in today's time. It's just a fact. Everything isn't because he's black and because you're white. Sometimes you just got the judge that was biased. Sometimes you got the lawyer that was biased. Sometimes it's just a lack of equal fairness across the board. It should be fair. I'm just saying.
Need to argue self-defense at the press conference. The attorneys, if they need to, can argue that in court. Blaming white people and screaming self-defense gets us nowhere. We have to be intelligent for once in our lives. Yes. We end the press conference on the best note possible.
Lee don't want to say it, but I'll say it. When he pointed at his head like that, and when he said we have to be intelligent for once in our lives, he's primarily speaking to our. He's not saying we're dumb, but he's saying we do dumb things.
Jury is going to see it. If the press conference goes off the rails, it's not going to hurt us because, again, everyone can understand where Jeff is coming from. And Jeff is always free to say those things anyway, inside the press conference or out. So we take the risk. But you know what? Because of what Jeff expressed in the past and because of the man that Jeff Metcalf is, I bet that press conference would not have gone off the rails. I would bet that it would have been beautiful. And like Jeff said, we would have prayed together and sought reconciliation together. And that would have...
I'm going to tell you right now, even if you're an atheist, I'm going to put myself in the place of the Father and say, I'm an atheist at that time. I would have prayed with the Father that day.
Have been the start of getting so many years off Karmelo's prison sentence. So what needs to happen going forward? If the family hired me, the lead, to consult with them on this case, here's what I would tell them. First, and this is number one, fire the baby shaking minister of justice. Fire that man immediately and publicly. Let everyone know that he is no longer on the team. We've got attorneys now. We've we've got the lead consulting
Hey.
now. We definitely
Hey.
don't need baby shaking convicted felons representing us.
Tell you.
Second, I would appoint Jeff, the father, to choose a new spokesman. I tell him to think of someone like a retired pastor, a real pastor, or a retired judge with impeccable standing.
You see what he did? Not directly, but he indirectly, to a degree, backs up my claim when I stated that the father should have made the choice about who the spokesman was and not have the mother in front of the camera or in the media and have the father pick someone. He was not against him having a spokesman, but he still backed up what I stated when I said we need to choose someone of standing if we're going to have somebody speak on our behalf in our communities. Specifically, someone of standing, not some run of the mill person that's claiming to be a spokesman. We don't know anything about him. He doesn't have a proven track record. He said, get somebody such as a retired pastor. You know why he said that? The reason why he said a retired pastor, because everybody in the community knows who's the retired pastor. He has shown and proven enough for people to know that track record. This guy, this spokesman, I would almost bet my top dollar he has not been well known across the community more than 5 to 10 years. I could be wrong. That's my sentiment.
Are giving Jeff the control of this because Jeff is the person who can do the most to help Karmelo and to heal the community. Third, I would tell the family, Karmelo Anthony's family, to cut a check to Jeff immediately for restitution of the funeral. Then give him some more money for counseling, maybe some more money for a memorial. I'm thinking at least $50,000. And here's the thing, we do it quietly. We don't tell a soul. It'll show Jeff our commitment, and maybe Jeff will mention it to the community later on. But even if he doesn't, fine. We still give him the money privately.
When I was pursuing my pre-law degree, criminal justice, I know what you guys are going to say. Hey, shut up. Don't judge me. In my criminal law class, this is what is effectively known in the legal world as earning brownie points.
And we give it to him right now, 24 hours. Then I would also set up a new GoFundMe, and I would add Jeff as a co-trustee to that. The new GoFundMe would be for a scholarship fund in Austin's name. And we, the Karmelo family, make the first contribution. I'm thinking maybe another $50,000. Now, the Karmelo family has already collected $500,000, and some of that's going to be used on the lawyers, even though apparently Karmelo applied for a free lawyer, but we'll talk about that in another video. So the family can afford to give $100,000 to the man who can help their son the most. It's an investment in Karmelo and towards communal reconciliation. Guys, as you can see, there is so much that goes into a criminal case, and Karmelo's mother is so ignorant.
I know what he's saying is true because when I would sit in doing internships, I would sit in on legal cases and I would talk to lawyers on the side because of, my internships required me to be in law offices and things of that nature. So a lot of times I could get firsthand accounts of what lawyers could not say publicly on record. And what he's saying is true. I don't know if I want to get further into the weeds of it just yet. Maybe in another video.
In hiring a baby shaking minister of justice, than hiring someone with true knowledge and experience and wisdom. Do you think that it's possible for Karmelo's mom to turn this around and get Jeff on her side, on Karmelo's side? Or do you think that it's just too late? Let me know in the comments below.
If you want to get a hold of me, if you have any video ideas for me, pinpointreacts34@gmail.com. That's pin, P-I-N, point, P-O-I-N-T, aim, A-I-M, 34@gmail.com. Send me your suggestions, your ideas, and maybe we'll get a little bit of knowledge and learning and understanding going. Hope to hear from you guys soon. Take care. Bye.